Welcome to another edition of Boxing Info. I'm your host, The Islander, and this is the results as well as the preview show for the week of ending May the 8th. Gotta apologize to you guys because I forgot something. I haven't been writing down the fights I've just been going over, just been kind of doing out of memory. And one of the ones I overlooked in leading up to the big preview of the Mayweather Mosley fight was probably the best fight in the 168-pound division in that Super 6 tournament between defending WBC champion Carl Froch and Montiel Kessler. If you remember, I picked Kessler to win, and I think this fight went kind of like I had the gut instinct that it would go. I thought it was going to be, contentious. I don't think that Kessler won by 8 or 10 points like one of the judges did, or 6 points. I thought it was, at most, a 7 rounds to 5, or 6 rounds to 5-1 even, or 8 to 4 at a stretch. At a stretch, it was 8 rounds to 4. And by the way, I know you're probably thinking new background. Yes, we've moved, and the picture of the castle hasn't gone up yet. As a matter of fact, it's right over here. It's laying down. Somebody made mention that they wanted me to bring this with me, so I have, and we'll find a place for it. Just probably not going to be in the videos after today. By the way, for those of you who've been wondering, that was a picture of the Biltmore estate in Asheville, North Carolina. But anyway, getting back to the Kessler-Froch fight, I really thought that Kessler would dictate both the real estate as well as the distance in which they fought. And Froch, the two complaints I have about the way this went down, and that is, one, I didn't realize Jimmy Montoya was still training fighters, especially even at the championship level. And it looks to me that Kessler's been getting sloppier and sloppier, and I don't know whether that was a result of him being more, basically out athletic by Andre Ward in his last fight, and he had to get a little bit more down and dirty, or the fact that he's lacking something or he's slipping, because he looked very sloppy in this fight. His punches were very sloppy. They weren't as precise as they were in the past. With Froch, he's suffering from the same disease that a lot of big bangers suffer from, and that is they play the waiting game. And bear with me 1 second. They play the waiting game. Gotta get that right. It's distance control. And he's waiting too long to let his hands go. I know that Kessler's a great counterpuncher and stuff like that, but you've got to start making something happen. I mean, a lot sooner. Even if you're throwing away punches to set up other punches, the third or fourth punch which is going to land, you got to do something different. And he's going to have a rough time. As this tournament goes on, because the one advantage he has against with Abraham is Abraham likes to cover up and let you throw your punches when he likes to counter. But I think he's going to be in serious trouble in that fight too. So I don't know how it's going to go down. But I mean, it was a really good win for Kessler. I thought it was going to go this way, and he's got life again in this tournament. Moving right along to other results, the bantamweight unification bout in Tokyo. Big surprise. I remember I was leaning with Hasegawa when I went with this, but what I have read since the fight, as you all know, Fernando Montiel scored a 4th round TKO at the last second of the 4th round over Hasegawa. And to me, Hasegawa was winning each of the 4 rounds before this turnaround happened, but in the first round, Hasegawa ate an uppercut, and I have read that broke his jaw. So he was fighting with a broken jaw going forward. One would think, and people have written to me asking me questions, if he got his jaw broken, why is he engaging Montiel? At some points, he was walking Montiel down. Montiel was circling. I think really unsure, but again, through each of the rounds, Montiel did touch Hasegawa, and this is going back to what I was saying about, Montiel's a different animal compared to the other greenhorns that they've been bringing to Japan to fight Hasegawa. I think that Montiel's even better than all around than Virapol Sarafam, who Hasegawa won the title from and scored a surprising one-punch knockout over in the rematch. You know, that guy was a long-time champion over 2 reigns, but as far as being world seasoned and world class in a worldly sense, those guys are stuck over in that corner of the world, and Montiel has, you know, been pretty much stuck here, but he's come, you know, out of his comfort zone several times. And what ended up happening is at the end of the 4th round, Hasegawa got brave, and Montiel scored with a right hand, a left hook, and a second left hook that basically nearly dropped Hasegawa. He immediately backed to the ropes. His hands were down, almost caught in the ropes to hold himself up, and Montiel was teeing off on him before Lawrence Cole waved the fight off. I've never seen a crowd, well, yes I have. I mean, think back to when Mike Tyson got knocked out by Buster Douglas. The crowd was like buzzing, and all of a sudden it was almost like you hear a pin drop. Good win for Montiel. I didn't expect this, but my word of advice to him is if he gives Hasegawa a rematch, bring him over here. And I'll be honest with you, I don't see a rematch going very much differently in terms of the winner, because Montiel and Hasegawa both know that Montiel can do damage to him. And if it's going to be a punch out, it's not going to work. I mean, Hasegawa looked like the bigger fighter in there, longer, taller fighter, but Montiel still found the range, the middle ground to land those bombs, and it was a big surprise to me. Okay, the pay-per-view card with Shane Mosley and Floyd Mayweather. You remember me saying that, or maybe writing, that the best way for Mosley to win this fight is that he has to hurt Mayweather really bad, really early. Well, he hurt him. It looked to me when it happened that it was really bad. I jumped out of my seat. I was like, oh, he's got him now, and this and that, and Mayweather went in that crowd. I think a lot of you have written, and I think, I'm not sure if it was Gil or Dial Day, or one of you had said, or maybe it was Hitman Conan, said that you think that Mosley was so surprised that he hurt Mayweather that he basically gassed out trying to finish him. My thinking is, as I was watching in the slow motion replays of that sequence, you know, there's obviously a blind spot that Mayweather is susceptible to. All you future opponents take note of this. It was Chop Chop Corley's right hook that he didn't see coming. It was Zab Judah's right hook he didn't see coming. And this Mosley overhand right may as well have been a right hook, because Mayweather's arm was extended, and he was already planning his next little sequence when that right hand came outside around it, up and over, and hit him. I thought it hit him like kind of like behind the ear, right at the ear in the jawline. Sent him into a crouch. Mosley looked like he was shocked, thought he'd already gone down. If he was thinking fast enough, he would have drilled him again while he was in the crouch, but I think he was surprised. And when Mayweather got up and threw his arms up, because he recovered right away, Mosley did have the sense to whale a right hand to the body. From that point on, and he drilled him again towards the end of the round, the fight was all downhill from there. And, you know, I think a couple of things. Nazim Richardson, who did an awesome job with Mosley. You can lead a horse to water, you cannot force him to drink. And as the rounds progressed, you knew it was an uphill losing battle, because Mosley could no longer, I don't know if he was not trying or if he just couldn't get himself on track. And he was breathing heavy in the 3rd round. He could not get himself to follow the directions of his corner. And even then, it may not have been, you know, look, if you're Shane Mosley, and I told you that Floyd Mayweather was going to stand in front of you for 12 rounds and fight it out with you, you know, not slug it out, but box right in front of you, and be walking into you, most people would say that this is your night, and he was crazy. Well, here's the deal. I've been a big, you know, detractor of Floyd Mayweather's, and most of it's more of his inflated opinion of himself. But let's be clear about something. Any of the complaining that we've had done in the past about him should be nullified with this fight, because I don't care what excuse anybody's making. Everybody said he wouldn't fight Mosley. He did fight him. He routed him. It was no match after the 2nd round. He did it by coming forward. He did it by standing in front of Mosley, making himself available after he'd been hurt, I think, bad in the 2nd round, and basically beat up Mosley, you know, the way you would expect a champion to do it. So, as critical as I've been of him in the past, you know, he earned his money, and he earned his pay, and he earned the respect of everybody, because he didn't go playing the Carlos Baldomir game where he goes running around for 12 rounds, and people leaving the arena at the end of the 9th and 10th rounds. I mean, he stood there and fought. It wasn't Gaddy Ward kind of thing. Don't get me wrong, but for him, it was more than he did against De La Hoya. It was more than he did against Carlos Baldomir. It was about the same as what he did against Zab Judah. And you can't take anything away from him. I mean, he is one of the 2 best fighters pound for pound in the world, or maybe two or three if you throw Chad Dawson in there. I just don't think that he gets enough. That I'm sure he is getting enough respect now after this fight. I mean, I think it was a brilliant performance. When they say virtuoso or they say spectacular performance, this actually gets this one earned that applause basically. So I've got nothing except good things to say about it. I didn't see any way Mosley could beat him after that second round, because he's very good at making adjustments, as I said in the pre-fight, and Floyd Mayweather did make the adjustments. Moving right along, this week HBO has a card, and I didn't even bring this up on my computer screen, in which Paul Williams returns to the ring to take on Williams-Cintron in a fight that was tried to be made a couple of years ago when Edmund Valero was one of boxing's brightest stars, but his combustible passion burned those on both sides of the rope. Sadly, too many fighters share his story. Some lady named Elizabeth. Anywho, as I was saying, Williams-Cintron, when he was the IBF welterweight titleist, and Paul Williams, when he was the WBO welterweight titleist, was slated to unify titles, and Cintron backed out of the fight because of pounding his hand on the canvas after beating Jesse Feliciano. He had hurt his hand. Also, well, as I break that fight down, I'm going with, every time I go with Williams, and I go with him big, he either suffers a setback or is in a tougher fight than he thinks. I think Williams should win the fight, but I'm making Cintron a super live underdog, and I'll tell you why. One, Williams gives up his height and reach, which is an advantage he has over Cintron. I don't think from the outside he's going to beat Cintron, so he's going to be forced to move forward. It's in that middle ground from the outside to getting right up on Cintron is where Cintron's the most dangerous. I do not see any way that Williams is going to go through this fight without getting hit by Cintron. And if Cintron cracks him just good with the right hand, don't be surprised if Cintron wins this fight by knockout. I don't think that Williams takes as good a punch as everybody thinks he does. I think that he's been the benefactor of coming into these fights super heavy and being able to withstand the power of Margarito, and being able to withstand the power of I'm trying to think of who my mind's going blank, but Walter Matthis, all these other fighters who have hit him, and even Sergio Martinez, and hurt him or stunned him. He's been the benefactor of having added weight on him. This fight's not going to be any different. The only difference is he's in with a real one-punch knockout fighter in Cintron. And I think, and what's given me this feeling that Cintron actually has a fighting chance in this fight is, again, the distances and the dynamic of how they actually fight. Cintron's perfectly capable and willing to stay outside at the end of his jab and launching 1-2s, the haymaker right hand. Williams, on the other hand, likes to get in this middle ground that's where he throws these uppers and around uppercuts and around punches and his left cross, but he's not the most dangerous fighter from a long distance. He has to move his body into punching range, and that's why he doesn't have the kind of one-punch knockout power that Tommy Hearns has at his height. Because Tommy Hearns and Alexis Arguello were straight, not being straight up, but using their height and their reach to really let go. Williams kind of slaps in some respects, but I mean, he's a good puncher, don't get me wrong. And I would think that normally, and this is why I'm going with him, that volume will probably win fights, the volume of punches. in any event, I'm making Cintron a live underdog. So if next week I'm doing a show and Cintron wins by knockout, don't expect me not to say I told you so. But again, Williams should win this fight. He may make Cintron quit. He may bust Cintron up and break him down and knock him out. I mean, or make the referee stop the fight. Martinez, if you look at the way they both fought Martinez as a measuring stick, or Margarito for that matter as a measuring stick, Williams beat both those guys, and to me, Cintron was stopped by both those guys. It's pretty easy on paper to say Williams is going to win this fight. I just think Margarito has a real good chance. Also, Antonio Margarito is making his comeback on a top-ranked pay-per-view card called Latin Fury 14. I wonder if this is going to be like the UFC's and the WrestleManias. Latin Fury number 433 before it's all over. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. So Latin Fury number 14, Antonio Margarito versus Roberto Garcia. And I understand that Robert Garcia, at least the last I read, was the one training Margarito. Robert Garcia briefly held the IBF junior lightweight title before Diego Corrales rearranged his face for him. But he was very Pops, I think, Pops, yeah. Roberto Pops Garcia, something like that. But he was a very good fighter in his time, and last I heard, he'd take on the Margarito assignment. It's in the 154-pound division. Expect Margarito to be rusty. He's kind of in a way sloppy even when he's not rusty. This could look ugly for a while, and I fully expect Margarito to come through it, because if they can't make a Pacquiao Mayweather fight, I understand that the next fight up is Pacquiao against Margarito, because it'd be an in-house top-ranked deal. The other thing I want to bring up about this whole, because immediately after the Mayweather fight, the Pacquiao name came up again, and Pacquiao has been rumored to be softening on the stance of 24, no closer than 24 days to fight, given blood. During the whole 24/7 thing, am I correct in thinking that the Olympic-style testers only came once to each camp and drew blood and took urine, and that was it? I mean, to me, I guess. I could live with that. I don't know what he would gain from day 24 in if he was clean on the 24th day before the fight, and he started using some type of HGH or something for 24 days leading up to the fight, and then agreed to take a drug test after the fight. There can't be anything gained in that period, even if he was dirty. I'm a firm believer in people are innocent until proven guilty, but after seeing the Mosley fight, and after seeing Cotto and Clottey both be taken apart by Pacquiao, I still think it's a pick'em fight. I think each has what they have. Each has the assets to beat the other guy. But I don't know that Mayweather's ever faced the kind of volume puncher that Pacquiao is. I thought he would be given trouble with Ricky Hatton, which he was for the first 6 rounds. But Ricky Hatton, I think, was not at a comfortable weight, and also didn't possess the overall skill that Pacquiao does, and didn't possess the corner that Pacquiao does. Because if I can see that Floyd Mayweather's Achilles heel is the looping right hand or the right hook, one that's outside his peripheral vision, Freddie Roach knows it too. And it's not like Pacquiao's going to come in there just throwing crazy right hooks at Mayweather. It's going to be other punches like uppercuts and left-hand stingers that set that punch up. So my thinking is I still give Pacquiao one hell of a chance of upending Mayweather, just with his athleticism and his punch volume and all that other stuff. That's going to do it for this video. I will be back next week, hopefully, and we'll review what we've got going on. Thanks.